It is 9:02. I'm going to call the Board of Public Safety meeting to order. Begin with the minutes from the last meeting.
Mayor, I make a motion we approve the August 10th Board of Works meeting as written.
I'll second. The motion and second to approve the minutes as submitted. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Any amendments to the agenda? Before Nate gets back. Thank you, Jenny. No items under old or new business. Heading to the department business. We'll actually flip this a little bit to give us a little more time here this morning. So if you don't mind, Chief Maddox, I'd like to start with you. If you don't mind, can you give me that little download? Appreciate it.
Mine's pretty short and sweet this month.
Well, now I need a long report. The time I need a long report.
Yeah, I do not have one of those. I'm still struggling with filling the staffing. We're sitting at 11 officers. One's going to the academy next Monday, so a week from now. But I also learned that we have another officer that's in another process in Hamilton County. So it might be a tit for tat. We get one and lose one. So our process got started again. As of right now, I think we have 6 applicants. No laterals at the time, but there's one that I heard is possible. But we'll see that when it gets here. Call volume, we're at about 320 calls last month, 55 traffic stops, 15 case reports completed. It's about, as you see on your notes, it's about average of what we do every month. With low staffing, 4 officers short, and we're still doing the same amount of calls is pretty impressive. So they're still staying productive, things like that. I'm still looking for a part-time administrative assistant / cleaning person for our office. That's something that we've talked with Holly about how we're gonna roll that out. So probably the next month or so, we're gonna figure that out, what that's gonna look like. It'll probably start as a, shorter hours, not the 30 hours, but shorter, to see what we can get them to do, since we already paid a cleaning person before. We'll absorb some of that in there, so there won't be a contract, it'll just be part of their job. So another way of saving a contractual line item is just to pay it as part of the part-time job. Training wise, all of our officers went to state mandated training. Every year we have state mandates that are required by the state of Indiana and ILEA. The county and the city did it together like we've done in the past. 2 officers have to do it online because we're available to do it that weekend, but it's still certified in the same way. And we're looking at different ways of doing it next year so we don't have to pay overtime. Like there's an online option that we're gonna try potentially for 1 year just to see how that works. See if that's the way they can do it on shift together rather than calling everybody in together. It's hard to do schedules for city and county to get everybody in there in a 2-day period. Just wanted a performance recognition for the guys that were working during the flood. And we had several guys, we got lucky, we didn't have to call a whole lot of people in, but with the road closures, assisting with the fire and DNR and all that stuff, I think our guys definitely stepped up and even went out into the county to assist where they could. So that was definitely pretty cool there. Didn't even have to ask, they just did it. So it was nice there, just being proactive. No really notable incidents besides that. Just normal type of calls. There's been nothing abnormal. It's the same domestic here and there, a battery, a fraud. It seems like frauds are kind of picking up a little bit with skimmers and just people getting frauded over the internet. So we're trying to keep an eye on that. Detective makers working on most of those. Budgetary wise, we're sitting about 45% left, which is about where we need to be because we have big purchases coming with tasers and some other things that we have in the works that I'll share more about in hopefully the next meeting when we finalize that. I have a meeting with Axon tomorrow to try to finalize what we can do with the taser and body cam situation. Right now we're on contracts that have changed every year. So we have a taser contract that ends, then a body cam ends, and the next year the drone ends. So we're trying to put those together so it's one common contract. So right now we have 3 contracts, and if you ever look through contracts, trying to update 3 contracts at different times is not the easiest in the world. We're still in the running for that grant, for the $400,000 grant from the TOPS grant for the technology and equipment. According to Colin, it's been submitted, it's been approved, approved that they have it, but we'll see what happens from there. If we get that, dash cams will also be on the table for that too, so that's something we would add after the fact, but that's, I don't have a quote in front of me, but I think that was another $25,000 a year for 5 years just to add dash cams. So it's not a small feat, so. That's pretty much the most thing we have. Like I said, the biggest thing is, I want to appreciate you guys on the board for passing the salary ordinance last time, the city council, to give a retention bonus that our gentlemen are actually receiving on this paycheck. Paying our field training officers who are training a little extra, kind of just a bonus for there. And then just also get our part-time pay up, so we can hopefully recruit a couple more of those. That's pretty much all I have, unless you guys have questions.
Thank you staff for all this.
Actually, I do have one more thing I forgot. Porkfest security, I was talking with the mayor, and that's one thing we're struggling with, being short-staffed at filling that. I have every day covered except for Saturday, so I'm gonna have to reach out to Elwood or Cicero or Arcadia and see if I can get guys to help work on Saturday, because we have 0 volunteers to work on Saturday from the county or the city. And I only imagine that's a lot of it's because of the cost. Porkfest pays less than what our overtime rate is, so guys are willing to work another shift rather than work Porkfest because it's less money. So that's something we need to work with Porkfest, either getting the rate up or we're gonna have to just outsource the whole thing. Because I can't ask guys to work when they can work overtime shift and make more. So. Anything else?
And the Pork Fest obviously is not willing to pay more.
They told me, the words out of their email was, we are not financially capable of paying more.
For security.
That's what I was told.
Seems to be a misalignment of who's responsible then.
Yeah.
Why are you reaching out? It's their job to provide. Like if I go to Ruoff, it's Ruoff's job to provide the cops.
I would not disagree, but it's also one of those, I don't want a city not having
Yeah, I
security for it either, so
Yeah.
that's something I think, and for how late in the game we are on this,
Yeah.
trying to figure this out, I believe that I just need to reach out and see what we can find. Like I already have Assistant Chief and Elwood, I've already kind of addressed it, but I haven't asked him yet, so that's where we're gonna go first, and then we'll go on from there.
That may be something next year that we need to discuss with Pork Festival, as far as them being responsible for security. I mean, that,
And it's their responsibility,
It should be their
but they always put it off
I
on
know.
either, I think in the past, it's either been the chief or the sheriff, or someone, one of the departments takes advantage, but of course, with all the change, it just got put in my plate, because found out I'm the only person they asked. They didn't ask the sheriff's department, so. And the sheriff's department's picked up some shifts, so it's not saying they're not helping. But Saturday, we already have the parade that we mandate the city officers to work, so not all guys don't wanna work a 9-hour day, a 10-hour day on their day off.
Yeah.
That's a lot to ask.
thank you.
All right.
Any questions for Chief?
Thanks, Chief.
Next up, Chief Ogden, Fire Department.
Good morning. I'm gonna try to keep mine brief. I got Med Bill here today to give a small presentation.
Could I interrupt and ask for your email address, Carmen?
It's Carmen, CARMEN, at getmedbill, GETMEDBILL.com.
I'm gonna try sending you an email. Your email did not come through. Speaking of, you may proceed, Chief Ogden.
You saw the monthly report, looks a little bit different with the new reporting system. I'm gonna try to fine tune this to cut down on the amount of trees that I cut down when I send this to you. So kind of went in depth. Run numbers were definitely up this month. A lot of that was due to the flooding event. Met with the training council, or the training facility, at Station 20, that's still on track, trying to move forward with that. They got their 501c3 paperwork done, still exploring options of how they wanna build that out, just staying in communications with the other departments. Wanna also stress that this isn't just a fire department training site, it's also a law enforcement training site, so they're trying to get everybody involved. So, grant cycles, still haven't heard back from Firehouse Subs. The Larry Foundation was due, or the letter of intent was due on August 15th. I was supposed to get a call on a letter on the 14th. That kind of went sidetracked when the floating event, but Colin went ahead and submitted it on our behalf, which was huge. So we just gotta wait and see if we're selected from that, then move forward with the Larry Foundation grant. I'm halfway completed through my officer development, leadership course I'm currently enrolled in. I have today, tomorrow, and Wednesday to finish up. It's going real good, getting a lot of information, and I'll give a full report on that next meeting. I've added one part-time firefighter EMT to our roster, should be starting in the next month. The two medics that we selected out of the last part-time process, one has already started, finished up her training, she'll be off on her own this week. The next person will go through his training next week. Still got one full-time guy in a full-time process, nobody else. Jacob Adams completed his 13th year with the department. I want to thank him for his service and dedication. Also want to give a shout out to all of our members, full-time, part-time, for their role in the flooding event. During that 24-hour period, we had 22 calls dealing with the flooding event itself. I did have a lot of overtime. I had 96 hours total on overtime just for that flooding event that we kept track of. 0 days running below minimum staffing, both on the fire side and on the medic side, which is great. You can read the report for all my budget items. Nothing really to report there, just kind of still going through everything. With the flooding event, Station 60 Wildcat Township Fire and Rescue allowed us to use the rescue boat that they had. We had a small incident with that where the bottom of it ripped out. Currently working with them. They think it's repairable. They're gonna see if they can repair it. I told them to give us the bill and we'll take care of it, or if we have to replace it, we'll replace it somehow. But we'll get that taken care of. I've kept you guys up to date on the bedroom. The HVAC issue seems to be helping, seems to be fixed. We can discuss more on the ceiling tiles in the near future, hopefully. So, the roof leak in the new bathroom seemed to come from one of the ventilation stacks that they installed. They were there last week. I'm not sure, I wasn't there when they left, so I'm not sure if the issue's fixed 100%, but we're just gonna keep our eye out on that. We attended multiple PR events throughout the month. Concert at the park was a big one, the threshing show at the fairgrounds, high school events for the football team and other sporting events. Still working with the planning department on our pre-plans and inspections. We have piggybacked off the planning department to get what's called upcodes, allows us to be on site and look up fire codes at an instant, which is a huge asset to have. I just wanted to remind everybody that I'll be out this afternoon, tomorrow, and Wednesday. You can get a hold of the duty officers with any questions. Before I move on to the policies, the union has requested if they could build a non-permanent structure in that back grass lot for like a patio area. It would be 100% funded by them. They're thinking about building a deck, 16 by 16 deck, not on post. It'll be on blocks, so it won't be permanent per se. They got a small propane fire ring and chairs to sit out back, just someplace where they can gather in the evenings. I told them that I wanted to present it to you guys first to make sure we have your approval to eat up that space since it is city property.
And where exactly is it?
It's right out our back door.
Okay.
In that grass lot. There's like a corner section that it's odd to mow anyways. It's just grass right now. We would just cover that in grass with some plastic so we wouldn't get weeds, but then just build a deck right on top of it. Is what their idea is.
It's non-permanent, so I don't probably.
Yeah, if it has to come out, it can come out. I don't foresee a reason why it would. We don't, the only thing that yard gets used for is the canines. So, reading a little bit of that, but I just wanna make sure it was okay with you guys first.
Mhm.
My only concern would be as long as they keep it looking
Yeah.
nice, which I'm
Yeah,
sure
we wanna-
you,
It'll be the.
I'm sure you'd make
new-
sure that-
It's not wood deck, it's that composite stuff.
Yeah.
They're wanting to use that. Of course, the frame would be wood, but everything else would be that composite stuff. Even the furniture, we already have, unions purchased that. So, before you, you will see two policies. So I started with these just because we are doing a hiring process currently. We have 15 applicants already submitted. We go to September 13th. We do have one lateral in that process that would meet this, requirements for our lateral policy. So I wanted to get something on the books that just lays out what we accept as laterals, and what they have to have and what we'll bring them in at as far as our requirements. The biggest thing is, with us, like, it's hard for us to be attractive because of Hamilton County, because of their pay. A lot of other departments, they do like a 3-for-1 or a 2-for-1 on years of service. I think for us to be attractive, it'd be like a 1-for-1 is our biggest change. But just making sure that they, are in the 77 fund where we don't have to send them to public safety medical if we don't want them to. We still have that option. We can still that. Their biggest benefit coming in would be they come in at that pay scale that they would be, for their years of service, plus they would get the vacation days, is the biggest benefit. I don't know if you guys saw that prior to this meeting, if you guys had any questions over this.
Why only 2 years? Minimum of 2 years of continuous full-time service with TFD prior to departure.
No, that's the supplemental policy. That's the second policy I wanna talk about after this one.
They both have it.
Okay. So minimum of 2 years on the lateral is the first year, when you're a 1-year firefighter somewhere, you're a probationary firefighter on that department, you haven't really gone through everything. So I would prefer, like, hiring a probie off somewhere else, we shouldn't give them years of service credit. I mean, they're still gonna come in as a probie here. They haven't done any true time in the 77 fund, they still got a lot to learn. So we put that minimum on there.
I misread this.
And with the probationary policy, the chief would have the discretion to remove them from probation early, for a lateral versus a new hire, if they were meeting or exceeding our expectations.
Mhm. Any questions on the first policy?
Hearing none, moving on to the supplemental policy. Went ahead and created this because we ran into this before, so I just think it's something good to get on the books, and why I was working on the first policy is if we have an employee that leaves us and laterals out, but then returns back to the city and re-laterals back in, it basically just lays out the guidelines of what we will bring them back as. If the biggest thing is that they can't be gone for more than a year before they lateral back to be counted in this policy. Be in good standings from the department that they've separated from as well, maintained all their certifications. They still will come back in as a probationary, as far as their kind of status, so we still have that judgment, like, where we can get, if we have to go down that road of terminating them, we can. But they would still come back in at what pay they would have, depending on their length of service and longevity, plus they would get their vacation, and they would also get the sick time that they had back from the city as well.
So sometimes when they leave, they're paid out paid out, depends on how they leave and what the, you know, the requirements are, but, so the sick leave could be that they got paid out a portion
Right.
of it,
I didn't think you got paid out sick leave if you left, you only got paid out sick leave upon retirement. The only thing you got paid out for was unused vacation days.
there's, we'll have to look at it, but I think there is something about sick leave that,
Okay.
well, as well as vacation, I mean,
Yeah,
I can understand keeping the days, but not, if they've already
right.
been
Yeah.
paid out, they're not gonna get
I
them
understand what
Yes.
back.
I take it you've had this occur before and you just wanna,
Well, we've had it happen once with the police that I know of and once with fire.
Ones with fire as well.
My worry is this now even incentivized further to, if I'm a firefighter, police, well, I can go see if I like it somewhere else, and if I don't, I got a year to come back. It's not guaranteed that we'll take them back, but it's almost like
True,
I can test the waters elsewhere, and now it's in writing that you might take
but I
them
will
back.
say 90% of the people that have left here have left on good terms. And they're employees that I hated to see leave, so I'm gladly accepting them coming back.
Do you have someone that is thinking about it? I
Not-
don't need
not
names,
at
we
this
don't need
current
names.
time, I just wanted to get something, like, again, like, it happens before and everybody's treated differently for the same reason, so I wanted to get something in writing stating like this is what we will do.
And I think with the police and fire, the Board of Works still approved rehiring of those
Correct.
individuals,
All hiring does go through the Board of Works no matter what,
except for part-time for you, right?
part-time.
Which, yeah, I
I
don't
mean, if
we
you
don't
guys
need-
want that, you
No.
guys-
Too micro, it's too fluid, right?
It is,
Way
it's
too
a
fluid.
number that fluctuates tremendously. So that's all I have, this time I'll let Carmen from Medville come up and give a presentation over our EMS.
I did have one quick thing, I'll get with Tammy, I wanted to see what the council's the council budget looks like, because that might be I think we might have money in like professional services line or something to cover the HVAC and the ceiling tiles
Hmm.
for fire. I'm sure we can
If-
find something in the council budget to cover that.
When I was speaking to the mayor about this, when the issue arose, is he was kinda like decided, yes, like, try to find the money for the HVAC. And if that's the case, we have the money left in our portion of the CCD fund to cover the ceiling tiles.
Yeah, I'm
So-
still not sure, it's not, you should have to do that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's been a problem, I know it's been a problem for a while. The zoning, for the HVAC in that building has been a problem until we hopefully fixed it, but,
Yeah, we checked with Hearn to figure out, cause they did, fix or adjust some, it just wasn't in that particular area, so I think the work that Hearn did provide some, or alleviate some of the problems on most of the system, and then like this was the last bottleneck, we think, that, now with this repair, we feel like that the air's now moving appropriately, even the condition of the space that we were having issues, that was causing the issues, seems to be mitigated now too, and,
yeah, I think it's, I mean, I don't know if everyone knows, but firefighters spent their own money to build those separated sleeping bunks and paint them and the woodwork. That was not paid for by the city, so if there's some improvements we can make to their living quarters, even if it's new ceiling, we're covering the ceiling tile and the HVAC bill, I think that's the least we could do. So I'll get with Tammy and see what the council budget looks like now, and if we can find something to cover that.
Anything else for me?
How much was the bill?
3,000 for the HVAC and 1,000
Yeah, I
for the tiles.
believe, excuse me, I believe HVAC was around 3,000, 3,200, I still haven't received it. I know that was the initial quote from Nick, just a verbal quote, and he said it wasn't gonna be any more than what we originally talked about. The ceiling tiles, we just went through and counted what it would take to replace the ones in the kitchen, and then it was roughly, I think 10 boxes, 10 cases of tile, which is a little less than 1,000. We got couple pieces of track that need replaced in the bedroom, that where it's bent and some tiles just don't fit right, that would need to be fixed, but all the good tile in the kitchen will fix the bad ones in the bedroom and in the hallways that need replaced from other leaks. So,
Yeah, that needs to look right. You watched Tacoma FD?
no,
Have you heard of it? It's got the guys from Super Troopers in it. Well, I only pay for the ceiling tiles if like every other one is Farva's face. It's a good show, you should watch it. I thought all firefighters were.
okay, I'll turn this over.
Thanks, Chief.
Alright, thank you all for having us, so what would be the best way for,
Oh, actually, I practiced it too. And the reason for me to,
I'm sorry, Mayor.
Oh.
Like, can you just cater to me today? Thank you. I'm so sorry.
I think that's what I'm supposed to do.
I appreciate you. Thank you guys for having us. My name is Carmen Frischkorn. I'm the Director of Compliance and Client Services with Menville.
My name is Dustin, I'm the Chief Privacy Officer at Menville.
So I know we were a last minute addition to this meeting, so we really appreciate you having us. We will make this very quick because I know your time is very valuable. But we did want to, we've been speaking with Chief Ogden about some of the financials. And one thing we wanted to do was come out here and discuss with the board the financials and how they kind of work for EMS, specifically answer any questions, just because they're a little bit different with Medicare and Medicaid versus what normal payments are for, you know, police and all of that. So we'll do a quick overview. We'll talk about some 2024 to 2026 financials. We'll go over 27 projection and then talk about just some upcoming EMS items, right? So the first thing we wanted to do was just show you the current rates for Tipton Fire Department. So you can see ALS, BLS, ALS2, mileage, and treatment, no transport as the TNT. Do you want to talk a little bit about what ALS, BLS, all these things mean?
Yeah, ALS is advanced life support, BLS is basic life support. It's the difference between if you have ALS staff on treating the patient. But we also have resident versus non-resident charges. So non-residents, the fees are a little bit higher than the residents. That's pretty normal.
What's the difference between ALS and ALS2?
You have to do, there's a certain set of procedures that are considered ALS2, things like endotracheal intubation, cardiac pacing, if you push through more drugs to the IV, there's 4 or 5 different criteria.
Okay.
Whole bloods now.
Whole blood is now ALS2 as well, if you guys start a whole blood program.
So with this said, this is what we're charging. However, when we're talking about Medicare and Medicaid allowables, unfortunately, these are the rates. And I know that these are a little bit small, but if you would like to kind of review this.
So yeah, you're charging, $1,200 to $1,400 for your BLS charges and your ALS charges. The majority of your guys' transports are going to be Medicare and Medicaid patients. That's probably around 60-65% of your transports. Medicare and Medicaid pay what's called an allowable. You have to contract with Medicare and Medicaid to even bill for those transports. They're going to pay roughly, anywhere between $400 and $500 per transport. Then you're going to have to take a contractual write-off. So yes, you're charging $1,200, $1,400 for those transports. However, it's $700, $800, $900 of that has to be written off contractually. So you're not actually collecting all of those charges. Your rates are set higher to capture a little bit additional revenue from those commercial payers, like Anthem, Aetna, United Healthcare. We have charity discounts, self-pay write-offs, and stuff like that to help compensate the rates for people that don't have insurance or have financial hardships. But that's the reason the rates are set so much higher than those actual allowables. We want to make sure that we can capture some of that additional commercial revenue. Any question with that? So whenever if you ever look at our month-end reports that we send over showing payments, write-offs, adjustments, all that stuff, those write-offs are contractually mandated, so it's not money that you can ever legally collect. So I just like to explain that.
So with that said, here's just a quick snapshot of 2024 through current year to date. And so you can see charges, adjustments, payments. The way that these are, the collection rate is created and for a true collection rate is payments plus the adjustments, because those adjustments are going to be essentially fake money, and then divided by those charges out. So that's how you can determine your collection rate.
Yeah, and if you look at your revenue per run, you can see in 2024 is $492 per transport. This is the average collected per transport. And then went up to 576 in 2025. In 2026, we're a little bit lower right now at 561. That's not something that's gonna stay that way. Money from 2025 has continued to come in since the end of 2025, so those numbers have ticked up. So to get a real true number, usually by second month of 2027, that number would be like really cured in there, so it would be higher than what it is currently. But you can see that the run volume increased in 2025. However, we're tracking a little bit lower here in 2026. It's a little bit down from last year.
Help me understand why that run rate jumped, so $80 from 24 to 25.
There was a lot of additional revenue that came in from some changes that occurred in 2025. There was a House bill at the state level called House Bill 1385. What it did was capped commercial payments at 4 times Medicare's rate, which is essentially $1,600 to $2,000. However, it mandated that any fully funded plans in the state of Indiana pay that full amount. So commercial revenue went up in 2025 because of that House bill. So again, that's why we want your rates to set, higher than Medicare and Medicaid allowables, because due to that House Bill 1385, there is some additional revenue out there to capture with those commercials that is offset with write-offs for people that, don't have insurance or can't pay.
In addition, on 2025, halfway through the year, there was also another House bill that established where Medicaid rates went from being about $100 payment up to Medicare allowables. So even though the prior slide, you can see they're a little bit higher and they're about the same now, Medicare and Medicaid allowables. Before it was paying maybe $135 per ALS run versus the $400 or $500 that they're paying now. So that's where a lot of that big jump came in, just because that's the majority of your runs.
Yeah. So in the last couple of years, we've had increases in Medicaid and in commercial revenue.
So that's where that big pop from in 2024, 25. So just a really quick snapshot. Again, I know these numbers are very small, and I apologize, but I just wanted you guys to see so I have 24, 25, and then 26. We'll just go over them very quickly, but just so you can see a breakdown of where your commercial, Medicare, Medicaid payments come in. So you can see the majority of those payments are going to be Medicare. I don't know if you can see this mouse. Okay, perfect. So they're going to be Medicare, they're going to be Medicaid, and then 166,000 would be the commercial. And these are the charges, these are the overall payments. And then again, you can see these large lumps of the contractual write-offs down here. So those are money that's not collectible. And then these are the actual payments down here. So you can see 24. You can see a big jump for Medicare, Medicaid, in 25, specifically Medicaid payments. And then currently where we're at with 2026, and this is just quarter by quarter. Anything you have with this?
No, it just shows that, honestly, between Medicare, Medicaid, commercial payers, you guys have a lot of insurance coverage for your area. Our self-pay amounts are fairly low. Look like they're
Under 10%.
under 10%, so that's pretty good. So more than 90% of your area is covered by insurance.
Just unfortunately, Medicare and Medicaid insurance.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Couple projections for final 2026, and then in 27. The trouble is that we are not sure of the run volume, right? And so the run volume's kind of been fluctuating. I know speaking with Chief Ogden, there's several reasons. There's different departments taking over different areas, and there's different situations that will depend on the run volume. So obviously we can't control that. But that's where that revenue, we're just anticipating a little bit of a jump for revenue for 2027.
Yeah, as best we can predict right now, we anticipate your run volume to end around 819 runs this year, and this is our projection. With the run volume going down from last year, it's hard to project growth, right? So that's why we left the run volume the same for 2027 with a slight increase in the revenue. Obviously, this could change once we have more information, but as of right now, with that volume, slightly shrinking, it's hard to project out.
So the cause possibly of a decrease or the same run volume, besides our population, is there are other people servicing parts of the county?
They're not servicing other parts of the county, like some of them are, like Sharpsville, they're still utilizing ambulance 5 in their jurisdiction. So they take some of those runs. honestly, our run numbers total probably have gone up a little bit because Howard County doesn't come into Tippin County unless Medic 10's out of service.
Okay.
And then that was done at their request. They're just so busy up there that what they used to do for the northern part of the county is they would get dispatched on all the calls.
Right.
They finally said, we're too busy in our own jurisdiction to cover your area when you guys have a medic available. So Medic 10 gets dispatched now, right out the gate.
If not available, then.
If it's not available, they typically send their ambulance 5, or even if Medic 10's available, ambulance 5, if they can get it rolling right away, of course, they're closer, they're gonna beat us there. They
Yeah.
start treating the patient if they haven't loaded in their ambulance. Whichever ambulance transports gets the bill. We can only bill it one time.
Is about 820 our ceiling of serviceability?
I was gonna ask that. That's
I mean,
already
it's-
beyond.
It's not a right or wrong, or
Yeah.
it just is what it is.
I mean, we can do more.
So is 1,000 our ceiling? Like
So-
if Tipton grew 2,000 people and now you had 1,000 calls a month for ALS, is that, could you
It
handle
just all
that?
depends on when they come in time of day.
Yeah,
I mean, there's just so many variables there that,
but at 819, you're not like, we just strapped, we cannot, we
Correct.
couldn't, okay.
And also, just one more thing to point out with that number, this is billable volume, so this doesn't account any like the SORs or
Right,
anything like that. So
Yeah.
there are more calls than this,
yeah,
this is just
this is
billable
just
volume.
billable.
I would say our total call volume for the medic truck county-wide, you're sitting around that 1,100-1,200 number. We do a lot of SORs, a lot of get called car accidents, get disregarded,
Yeah,
or they go on every fire call inside the county.
yeah, so I guess if I'm looking at this like it's and I know it's not, but if it's a for private business, like, and we're trying to fund this, if we are dispatched for a Medicare and Medicaid call and it costs us, I don't know, $800, I'm making it up, we're actually losing money?
Yeah, so a couple years ago, they did a program nationally called the Ground Ambulance Data Collection for CMS, or Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. What they did is they collected 1 year worth of financial data for every single department in the country. They did this over the course of 4 years. Within the last year, they finally released their final report, and they determined that on average, an ambulance call for a department in the country cost about $1,100 per transport. So they know that they're paying about half of what it actually costs.
And that's trying to be subsidized by the commercial rate payer.
We are trying to capture some of that additional rate, that's why your rates are higher than those
Right.
allowables. It's not, obviously, it's not gonna cover everything, but, we wanna make sure that we are capturing as much of that as possible. Fully funded plans only make up about 10% of the commercial volume in the state. So about 10% of your commercials will pay at 100% of your
Right.
charges.
I mean, we've only collected 176K this year on commercial rates, but Medicare was like 5 something, so that's a volume,
It's definitely volume.
obviously, we're an older community,
Yeah,
so.
you have, maybe 15 to 20% commercial, everything else is Medicare, Medicaid.
So it's really tough to look at our police chief and sometimes and say, you need to run this as a for-profit when it's out of his control. Like, that's been stated before in council meetings, when we try to set this up, we said, we can't have ALS losing money, otherwise we'll just not do it anymore.
I would say that the fire department and ambulance service can never be looked at as for-profit. I think operating in the red is pretty much reality for most services.
Then the reality has to be for some city councils, why do it?
You have to subsidize, deprive the.
We don't have the, I mean, we frankly don't have the money, we have the luxury of saying, let the county do it, it's not our problem.
Sure.
I'm not saying I want to do that, but when we started talking about this, we thought there was a real chance we could run this. I mean, I get it, it's not a for-profit business, but in a way that we weren't pulling money out of the general fund or other departments to fund a losing proposition. We had SEALs before, and I know there's service versus value and stuff like that we were considering, but it's a tough pill to swallow, and it's like you can't even charge enough to sustain a service that you're providing already at a loss, and you can't make the chief accountable because it's not his decision he doesn't control Medicare, Medicaid rates.
It's literally comes down to your demographic and then what the federal government's willing to pay for the transports.
Right, and our are they gonna do a CMS reset on these costs?
So the reason they did that was to determine if they needed to increase their rates.
Yeah, like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Yes.
for
So
sure.
we'll always be 10 years behind on rates.
Oh, absolutely.
As of right now, they have not done anything to increase the rates. The next slide, I think, has projection, they're gonna increase you by 2.6% next year.
So 2.6%.
So not even inflation of
Right.
20,
No,
So
not
no.
even inflation, inflation levels.
No, so that's the estimated for it. But yeah, well, I mean, with the GADCS program, again, it was supposed to be that they were determining if it was going to be, raising the rates. And now they're saying that they're probably going to continue to ask for data collected every year and then determine their inflation based on that. But as of right now, even with the GADCS completed, it's only going to be 2.6% for their inflation factor for 27. That's just the estimated preliminary calculations. And then there's additional Medicare add-ons, 2% for urban, so that's what the additional for the 1968 extended. So that is gonna be potentially extended for another 2 years. And then the VA changes, they were also another kind of hit to EMS, was they were trying to take VA and have some reduced payments with those. Thankfully, that's been postponed until 2029 at this point.
VA pays your charges in full right now. If you transport to a VA hospital, you probably don't have a lot of that volume up here. Down in Marion County, there are a lot of services that transport to a VA. So there are services that are charging, $2,000 for an ALS, and they would be getting $2,000 right now for those transports. However, if they made this change, it'd go down to those $400 or $500 levels. So,
Yeah, I mean, it has to be treated like a business, unfortunately, but again,
you can only subsidize rates so much.
And you're legally,
I mean,
like, that was what he was mentioning with, like, the state actually passed a House bill saying that you can't do it any higher than, like, these certain amounts. You can't have your rates any higher. So, like, they're at the extended amount right now.
yeah, the commercial rates are set, with House Bill 1385, they capped out around $2,000, which is fine, that covers the transport. They did that for 2 reasons. One, to have something on, like a framework on the books for how commercial payers had to operate and pay in the state of Indiana, but also there were a lot of problems with private services price gouging. There were private services up in northern Indiana that were charging $9,000 for an ambulance transport.
I mean, I get it. It's a
Right.
misalignment of incentives. So if you're gonna make us pay for everybody else, the
Yeah.
10% pay for the 90, then
Yeah.
to make money, we're gonna charge 8 times.
Yeah,
Or
8
4
to 9
times.
times the actual replacement value.
Yeah, and then negotiate down and still try to make money. It's,
Yeah, so they capped everybody at 400% of Medicare, and then any fully funded plans in the state of Indiana, which again is only 10% of the commercial plans here in the state, would pay that full 400%. Otherwise, you can contract with payers, and they will pay us whatever amount your contract states, and then you take a write-off. If you don't contract, they may not pay you anything, they may pay the patient directly, and then you have to pursue the patient for those bills. Or they may still pay you something, but if you're not contracted, you can at least collect up to that 400% still. So, they set caps, but they also, increased what you could collect or what payers had to pay. So it's kind of like a twofold, double-edged sword.
All right, well, that is all that we have. Any questions, thoughts, concerns?
no, it's really
Well,
a
so,
lot of info that
just to
was.
simplify this for me, so you're sharing with us that, is it possible to just even break even? That's no.
I think you could. It
So
all
my-
depends on our costs, because
my-
our revenues are kinda,
My
Most of our
question then
revenues
for
are
you,
capped.
chief, is then, when you're in budget, well, so, when you look at your budget, how do you calculate the loss and try to, I mean, how do you work that into your budget?
I don't look at it as a loss, because you gotta remember, what you just saw is just coming solely from billing. We also got money coming in that's being subsidized by the county.
right.
And also in a sense that the city is also subsidizing the program by paying the benefits package of the 3 medics. That's the cost that the city accrues, really, and that's the only cost the city has.
For now, but
For
the
now.
issue we could run into, chief, that I would worry about if I were you or someone that really cares about the city maintaining ALS is 2 things. One, it's not just paramedics' benefits and pay.
Correct.
It becomes, well, we're so short funded on ILS, we have to pull from the general fund or the departments, and then a future mayor or council says, right, we don't have to do this, we can go back to just making the county do it. The second is, we need more from the county every year, and you get 3 commissioners that say, we'll just we'll go back to seals. Cause you want 300, they want 200, and you'll get commissioners that say, I don't care about the value, that yes, the service was better for the city, I'm just looking at it from money, so go back to seals. And we know that was not as good as arrangement as we have now, but when you're looking at dollars, or you have commissioners or councils that only care about those dollars and don't have the experience of this, it's just too easy of a decision with SCA one and other things going on to say, you know what, we give up, screw it.
But we saw that in the last contract cycle, what it would cost for, like, say, seals to stay. We saw 3 times what they were getting paid just to stay here to be, because they were losing money.
But they were paying them at one time like $100,000.
It was pretty low.
It was but we were subsidizing some of that because we let them stay in our fire station and things like
Yeah,
that.
they had to make some huge adjustments for them to stay in county as long as they did. I mean, if you remember when Seals first started here, they operated out of their own standalone station. They provided an ALS truck 24 hours a day. They provided a BLS truck 12 hours a day, because the call volume was more in that 7A to 7P run.
Mhm.
Slowly you started seeing those go away. We lost the BLS truck within probably the first 6 to 9 months. Well, after the first year, they went from their own standalone station being in the hospital, where they didn't have to pay for their own standalone station. Within 6 months, they figured out it still wasn't working. So then ultimately, Tiffin Fire Department had an agreement reached with Seals and the city that they could be housed out of our station, utilize our box, just had to pay for 1 medic and their supplies. Tiffin Fire Department paid for the rest, but we got subsidized for that too.
Mhm.
We had a lease agreement with them. So, the biggest thing that hurts us is we haven't grown.
Yeah. You need people, and
we
you really need
like
non-Medicare.
for the ALS program to, like, and I wouldn't say, you're exactly right, we're not profitable. But as of right now, I would say the last 3 years that we've been doing it, we're not in the red.
So let's use a better word, let's use sustainable.
It's
Are
sustainable.
we sustainable?
We're just not making as much as what we thought we would to help offset some of the costs.
Yeah, because I think if we're projecting just under $500,000 in just med bill revenues received, that doesn't include the county's
Which is 200.
contribution, which is 200 for the
198
primary
for ALS,
contract and then the secondary.
49 for ALS and then 49.5 for the BLS box.
So about 250,000. So, and then the proposed budget for next year is 630,000. And I guess that's intentional, right? We're trying to keep some cash reserves building, so when we have to replace one of the ambulances,
And that's the
we
biggest thing, yeah, is holding back, so when we gotta replace our equipment, I mean,
Mhm.
our equipment's just through the roof. A monitor now, what we used to pay, I think we paid 35,000 for a monitor, if we went to replace it today, it's over 65,000.
So the real number we have control over is what we ask the commissioners
Yeah.
for.
True.
And it almost sounds like, as long as we're doing the numbers right, we can show, hey, this is just the reality. It will almost always be cheaper for them just to use the city.
It very well could be now, at any point, like if they go into, like we are in a contract year,
Mhm.
when decisions gotta be made by the beginning of 2027.
Mhm.
Negotiations should already be happening, they need to get started soon of what we do. Now, there is, I just looked at the contract last week, there is a clause in there that we could extend the contract just with a mutual agreement with the county if they want to. We just have to figure out if they wanna do that or if they want to accept RFPs.
Yep.
To extend that. Which I think you're gonna run into the same thing we did 3 years ago. One private company bid it. You didn't have anybody else jumping to come into Tiffin County because it's all projection based, and they see like, oh, you only had 800 transports, and you only brought in this, we can't supply an ambulance,
Yeah.
an EMT.
And they wouldn't even have the infrastructure, where would they go? I mean, I wouldn't be for allowing them at TFD again.
No, agreed.
So,
Okay, this has been, I think I've learned more in the last 40 minutes than I did 2 years.
I would agree with that.
And I was pretty involved.
And it is a
before.
lot, I mean, I'm still learning a lot, and like these discussions need to happen more.
Yeah.
Especially on the billing side, I hate billing.
Yeah,
I hate
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but having people know what they're actually talking about and explaining it,
Mhm.
and that fourth grade level is great.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, thank you all. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Computer back.
Was that?
You get your.
Yeah, I got that. All right, I don't have anything for the good of the cause for today. Unless there's anything else you need.
No, I just, whoever organized to have Medville come, thank you. Thanks to Public
good.
Safety, Park Street, everyone for the hard work over the flood. I saw a TFD truck driving around with a watercraft in the back several times, so.
One way to haul it. I will say, speak like. a-
Probably need one of those.
You've probably seen an uptick of TFD on social media. I did appoint Bryce Delph as our official PIO, who's been doing a tremendous job of keeping the public informed, sharing posts from, each department, so I wanted to give kudos to him as well. And you brought up, I know we had a post out there thanking all the other departments that assisted with us, like city and countywide, pretty much every department in the county was affected by the flood, and we assisted them, they assisted us. It went very smoothly for what, we had. I mean, it was a bad thing. We had 2013 flood in the
Mhm.
books, so we kinda knew what to expect. We knew that the flooding was gonna be huge, that 6 to 12 hours after the rain stopped, and we saw that. So, and, kudos to Jason Henderson. I believe, this was a true test of the shelving project, and it looked like it worked.
Yeah.
So,
If
just wanted
we,
to say that.
if we have to replace Wildcat's watercraft, do we gotta keep it? With the old one, I mean?
We wouldn't own it.
Well, Chief Bender used to ask it might even go before him, for a watercraft, and we always said, no, we just don't have it in the budget. And then after, it just seems like these flood events are on
So
uptick,
that is
maybe we
something
need
that I'm
one.
working on. It would, funding's already tight. It would be nice to have water rescue equipment at Tiffin Fire Department. I would say 4 to 6 of us are cold water emergency certified. The suits we had were handed to us from Carmel. They were expired, out of date, but they still functioned at the time. Now, we've ripped 3 zippers out of them. They had their life expectancy, so we don't have a replacement set for those. Hopefully we can get grant funding. We're gonna try to pursue that route versus digging into our fire budget.
What would a watercraft cost? If you needed one, or,
To replace what we had from them, which was great, just a small watercraft, filled up our SCBA bottles that can go in a compartment. It's not something that has to be stored in a truck per se. You're looking about that $1,000 to $1,200 mark. Each suit is about $1,000 to $1,400. The life jackets themselves and everything, I mean, just 3 times what it would cost a normal person. Like a life jacket for fire rescue is about $300 to $400. So, I mean, there's just a huge uptick. To outfit the whole department to get what we truly need to be like a water team or a cold water emergency team, we're probably between that $6,000 to $8,000 on the low side.
Did you say 6 to 8,000 or
6 to
60?
6 to 8.
in case you didn't know, there's a white car in the creek.
We've been waiting for the water to reside.
I think it's moving. Just let it go, it'll get.
We're hoping it keeps
eventually.
moving.
Murray's needs the water below the windows. We are about there, so hopefully we don't get any more rain.
Mhm.
We didn't wanna put anybody in the water with the currents.
Yeah.
And just the fact that we have to get a truck pretty close to there
Mhm.
to get it pulled out. It's not hurting anything now. Everybody knows about it at this point. You still get a random every once in a while, but, it will get removed hopefully in the coming weeks.
Well, thank you again. Thanks to all the departments. I know you've been thanked a lot, but, thanks all the city employees for everything you've had. And, just, it's been sad for those that have lost. I know a few families that have probably lost everything. And we just need to keep them in our prayers, but thank you for all that you guys did. And I have seen a couple of Facebook posts where our park benches were found.
One was found in Cicero.
One was found in Cicero.
In Cicero?
Now, just stop
Yeah,
and think
they
about
fished it
that.
out at a, I think a dock or, I
At
don't know
a
if it's
dock,
marina or,
yes.
Yeah, underneath the
I
dock.
did not
it
see
was the
that.
Girl Scouts one.
And those park benches are not light.
Yeah, they're heavy.
That's why I'm saying, if you just wait, that car will end up in Cicero, let them deal with it.
At least at Hamilton County, right?
Yeah,
I think they said they lost 11.
Yeah.
So far they found 30 maybe.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, this time I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
So
Yeah.
which one to take?
Hey, don't, just take your
We
pick.
got 2 motions in 2 seconds. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you for all the info. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for coming.